I was going to do a live call yesterday, but my daughter, who doesn't come around too often, was only going to be here for a couple of days. So I said, you know what, I'm going to, and I'm going to talk about that in just a second. That's the reason why some people, experience burnout is they don't know how to have priorities, and they try to just achieve too many things, and they really set themselves up for failure because there's nobody that can do that. So I'll talk about that in just a second. And when we think about the subject of burnout, and some leaders, I see leaders go through that sometimes. We are in a high performance profession, right? So if you rise to the challenge and perform well, you'll be rewarded very well, right? We know that a lot of people come in this business and they expect something for nothing. Their life isn't easy prior to network marketing in their job or career, but when they come over here, for some reason, they think this should be easy, right? So the thing is, we understand what it takes, that if you want to be rewarded well, you have to perform very well. But it seems like it's sort of a fine line when we think about doing that, and at the same time trying to get quality and satisfaction and happiness and fulfillment for the reasons that we did it. If you get what I mean, if you're following me here. So there were reasons that what brought us here to do what we do, right? And sometimes we can get so obsessed with what we do, we forget the motivation or the reasons what brought us here. And that's a problem I see that many leaders, Nicole, nice to see you, many leaders experience. And they lose sight of the more important things. And as a result, they experience what many call burnout. Now, it can happen in different ways. Some people think that burnout is just simply working hard, and you just work so many hours, you work it for so long, days, weeks, months. It's really funny because I got a friend downstairs, a guest, and she's from China. And even today, I had a talk with her about that. It's funny, even in this house, I don't see her that much, You know why? She freaking works like a machine. I mean, it's like non-stop, okay? Even times that our family's gone out to the theater or we go out to dinner, I say, hey, come on, you want to go? No, I got to work. I got my goals. This is what I'm focused on this. And, it's funny because I even said to her today, I said, I could see it's wearing on her. It is wearing on her. And I said, listen, you need to work on your mindset, your state, okay? Go to my gym. Go. She started smiling when I said that. I said, go to my gym and start working out because I can see it's getting to you, okay? So sometimes, and here's the thing, I understand that, in her case, she's just getting started. So there is value and importance when we have a sense of urgency when we work our business, when we're getting started. I know I did that my first 90 days. I went from 8 to faint. That is 8 in the morning till I faint, right? 8 to faint. Didn't shave much those days. You know, I was really woolly. But I was focused and I was very intense my first 90 days. Well, as a result, I created momentum. I created speed for my team. I had 800 new members, new business leaders in my business, 800 of them in 90 days. That was getting off to an important start. It was very important. Now, had I continued with that kind of work ethic, that speed, for months after that, then sure, I mean, that would have been, I mean, I can tell you after 90 days, I was fried. But it was a good feeling because after that, I worked it at my pace. So that's one thing I want to share with you is that you got to find that. It's okay. There's a time that you got to be focused. There's a time that you really need to put out extra effort. You might have to talk to your family about that and let them know, especially when you're starting. You're in a new company, or it's not a new company. It's new for you, but you just joined, and you need to let your family know. It's not because I don't love you. I'm actually doing this for the family. On the other hand, if months go on, several months, God forbid years, and that's your focus, then you might experience some real problems like burnout. And because it's not so much from the work as it conflicts with your values. So here's one thing I want you to do, and that is tonight you could do this, okay? Work on this project. And by the way, I read this in a book. John Templeton, Lord John Templeton, he was the first billionaire in the stock market after the Great Depression, when the stock market crashed. He came from my town where I grew up, Winchester, Tennessee, or he might say I came from his town, but Winchester, Tennessee, a small little town, but he was the first billionaire. And by the way, after his death, he left a lot of money to our county, a beautification project, did incredible things. The man was unbelievable. But one thing that I would recommend that you do is, and this was something he did long ago, and it helped really define his character. It defined who he was, what was most important to him. And that is, have a piece of paper, and on the left, write down your values. And then on the right side, write down the rules to achieve those values. Hey, Barry Blake from New Zealand, nice to see you. Rosia, nice to see you. So, and hey, Way, what's up, girl? Good to see you. On the left side, write down your values. On the right side, the rules to achieve those values. I can tell you, when I first did this, I woke up the next day and I thought, those aren't my values. Not in the order that I wrote them. Those were important values, but it wasn't me. And so, on the left side, what am I talking about? So on the left side, you might want to write down if family life is the most important thing to you, okay, fine. That's your top value. Second to that, you might have spirituality as another value. That's very important to you. Third might be security or financial security. That might be another value. Another value might be integrity. So again, you have to write your list of values, and that might be something that you can do too. It's sort of like a puzzle, isn't it? Because you can write down maybe just a list of values, and then what you can do is decide what order do they need to follow? Why is that important? That's going to be your priority list every day you wake up. Every day you wake up, you always are going to habitually gravitate toward those values. So we need to understand sometimes, and sometimes it might be unhealthy For example, let's just say if family is at the top of the list, but you have financial security, that's like your fourth value. But what you do is you spend most of your time working, and you're not taking care of the number one value that you have on that list, which was your family life. You might have children, and so you're not there, or if you are there, you're not there. Say, what does that mean, Jeff? That means when you're in the house, you're not in the house. You're never getting around your family, okay? Hey kids, where are you? See what I mean? That's what I'm talking about. Anyway, so if that's at the top of the list, but you're never having time for them, you're going to get mad at yourself. You're going to get frustrated at yourself. When you spend time with your business, you feel guilty about it because you're not with your family. And then when you're with your family, you feel guilty because you're not doing the business. Your value system is totally whacked and screwed up. You see what I mean? So, and it's okay. Your family doesn't have to be at the top of the list. It doesn't. I mean, it could be, maybe that maybe you want to be, maybe spirituality's at the top of your list. You say, hey, listen, family's very important to me, but I got to bring something to the family. In other words, who am I? What are my qualities? What defines my character? Because that's how I impact my children, my wife, and all that. You get what I mean? But it's okay if you want to have family at the top, but you got to make your own list. But what I'm saying, this is the conflict where a lot of leaders get burned out in their businesses because they feel like, even if they're successful, I know people that are highly successful, make a lot of money, but they don't feel successful. They don't feel fulfilled. I think Tony Robbins said that once, that when you get to that level of success and you feel like a failure, that's the ultimate failure. So that's the thing that we don't want to do. And that's what burnout can create because we set it up wrong. And then here's the other thing too, the rules. I said, make a list. You can make just a list of your values, then put them in order on a list, a separate list on the left side. You may wake up tomorrow morning and say, hey man, that is just not right. I did that. Okay. And then on the right side, the rules to achieve those values. What does it take? And just a word of advice, don't make those rules difficult. This is something Tony Robbins taught us. Don't make it difficult. Make it easy to achieve. I'm not saying easy, but what I'm saying is don't make it so difficult. That's what I mean. Okay? So if family life is one of those values, doesn't have to be one, but it can be. Okay, to achieve the quality family life that you want, what do you have to do to achieve that? You might have in there, I want to spend quality time with the family every day. I want to have a meal with the family every day. The kids might be going to school early in the morning. Maybe you can't do breakfast together, but by golly, and I can't do lunch together because they're at school, right? But dinner time, that's what we're going to do. Now, here's the important thing. At dinner time, what do? Turn these off, because that's what's going to interfere. See, if you want to know what rules your life, what's the first thing you do in the morning? What's the last thing you do when you go to bed? A lot of times we spend too much time with these, okay? So it's okay. I understand. We get everything we communicate to people, our friends, our relatives, people we work with those smartphones. We get the news. We, whatever, we post on Facebook or different platforms we use. I get that. But what I'm saying, when it comes to if one of your values that's high on the list is family and it's dinner time, then, that's the time to be together. See, when you're there, be there. That's the key thing. And so what I'm saying is that what has this got to do with burnout? what happens is when we make that list of values, and those are the most important things, understand that those are priorities. Those are priorities in our life. If we're not addressing those priorities, then we don't feel fulfilled. I don't care how much money you make, you don't feel fulfilled. You could say, well, man, I'm going to the top. I'm at this level now. I'm getting ready to push and go to a whole new level. Okay, so what? But you'll get there and you'll feel what? You'll break out the champagne, have one glass, and then the next day you'll say, crap, man, why is it I don't feel fulfilled? Well, it's because you're not addressing your values. See, nothing wrong with the work. Do the work. When you're going to work, do the work. But know what your priorities are and know what drives you. If you don't know that, you're not going to feel fulfilled. I don't care how much money you make. Doesn't matter. Okay, so that's the key thing is know your values, which means know your priorities. The second is when you do the work, do the work. So when you're going to do your business, decide what days, what hours you're going to do your business. You don't see me working weekends. See, I want to be an example to the leaders of what to do and what not to do. What to do is to be organized and then, again, know your values, know your priorities. Second to that is you run your business does not run you. That's what you need to understand. I mean, you got to live that way. So you're not a paramedic. You're not on call 24/7. Oh, my phone. Oh, it's a leader. Oh, they're asking me a question about the ingredients of the product and what it means. What, your distributor service now too? No, we are not going to be distributor service. I don't let people use me that way. I don't. If somebody says, hey, will you call this person and do a presentation for me? I really need some help. No, I don't do that. Get good at saying no. And why? Why you say no? I tell people I don't do your legwork. You bring me in when you need some help. When they're asking a question you can't answer, then you can message me, and I'll give you the answer on the messenger. See, here's the thing: we got to understand that a lot of things are going to be coming at you every day. You got to decide whether it's worth your time or not. But the important thing is you got to teach your own leaders to be accountable and make them accountable. In other words, this is your business. Your business is not my business. My business is my business. Yes, you're in my business. I'm grateful. Thank you. I'll help you. But I want you to be responsible. What you can do is what I want you to do. That's called duplication. So, in other words, you know the tools, you know what to do. If it's a video, send them the video. When they ask questions that you can't answer, feel free to reach out. If you need to do a 3-way call or a Zoom call, I'm here. But what you have to do, my friends, is then understand that a lot of things are coming at you and ask yourself, is it worth giving my time to? Is this a training problem? Is this a person that doesn't understand or hasn't gone through the onboarding training on what they know what to do? You know, the tools, what should they do? And see, if they don't know that, then make sure you give them that. After that, then you're gonna take your time, you're gonna put it toward things that are more productive in terms of your goals. And those are the things that you're gonna have to look at, is who you're gonna spend your time with. And a lot of the people that you spend your time with are the wrong people. I mean, I've done it. You know, some people, when they join your business, that's important at that time because they help you qualify at your rank. They bring business into what you're doing. That's good, that's fine. You need that because you're trying to pay your bills, you're trying to make a living in the beginning with this, right? Later, you're going to get more wise about where your time is going. And that is that you have, you're going to be more cautious about who you're spending your time with, making sure your time is going to leaders. You're not trying to convince people that this is something good for them to be involved in, that they need to stay with you. And then you have to constantly convince them that they need to follow their dreams. They need to make money. They need to, if we have to constantly remind them we're trying to do something we can't do, and that's create desire. They either have it or they don't. Our job is to find people who are like ourselves that want it bad. They're hungry. They're hungry. Just like I have a guest here and, in a short period of time, in just a week, she's already got 35 members in her team. And she's doing it in mainland China, doing Zoom calls. Amazing. So that's what I'm saying. You find people who want it as bad as you, and that's where your time goes. Now, here's the thing. So going back to what we were talking about, excuse me, not feeling guilty when you do the business about not spending time with your family. Make sure that, and this is really my second point, my first being values, priorities, know them. Second, that you have to decide what your shop hours are and let your leaders know. That doesn't mean they can't ever send you a message, and when you have the time to return it, you do. Let them know your shop hours and what days you're working each week. If you're working weekends, and that's okay if you do that, but you got to let them know. But you got to set boundaries. Boundaries means that you're not always available. Boundaries means that you're telling your leaders, hey, I want to show you that network marketing doesn't just give you great financial opportunity, it also allows you to have a life. Isn't that why we got in it, to have a life? So that means on the weekends, I'm with the family and the kids. If there's something important, send me a message. It doesn't mean that if you want to take 30 minutes to an hour and do a Zoom call or a Facebook Live into your Facebook group to share something with the leaders that's important, it's okay. Nothing wrong with that. Then when you're done with that, you're done with that, and you're doing things with the family. And that's so you got to decide what are your boundaries? What are your shop hours? You let everybody know this is it. And that's the second step that you need to do, is decide what that is. Sometimes it'll change. Sometimes you might have to put a little more time in. Sometimes you'll put in less time. Matter of fact, someone asked me the other day, how much time do you put in? I said, well, let me think. I've been in my company 21 years. I've probably worked, if we base it on a 40-hour work week, probably 6 years. Person's eyes got huge. What'd you do with the rest of the time? Anything I want. Anything I want. But it's going to be based on my priorities. It's going to be based on my list of values. That's what I'm going to move towards. See, in my case, it might be music. I've got 3 CDs on iTunes. Songs I wrote, recorded. I love going into a studio. So music's going to be on the list. Okay? It's not at the top of the list, but it's on the list. And what are one of my rules to achieve that? I got to write songs. Sometimes I do that. I'll say, okay, come on. It's time to write something. That's the thing that we have to do, is decide, that when we have disposable time, and you may not have children. And that's the other thing, is then where will your time go? In my case, it might go to music. It might go to, I've got rose gardens out here, perennial gardens out here. I like to get away and just get out in nature and things like that. That's something I enjoy doing. With you, it might be sports. You might want to, go play ball. Whatever it is you do, whatever you love to do, schedule that time for it. And then that's that time. That's not shop hours. That's that time that everybody knows that you're going to be doing something else other than the business. The great thing about that is you're being an example of showing them that you have a life. Because if we're always working, if we're constantly, I get around some people and they're always looking at their phones, constantly looking at their phones. I've been on company events. It's like that. I'm around my sponsor. He's not even, we're on a bus going to some cool place. Just flew into like Brazil, and then he's looking at his phone all the time. And I'm like, dude, get involved in what we're doing. I've been guilty of it too. That's why I learned not to do it. I'm aware of it. I know we're habitual creatures. What about 45% of everything we do is out of habit. And then when we examine our habits, we say, wow, that's so good. Probably need to change that up. So just take control. This is really all about, if you want to avoid burnout, just be a productive person and you won't feel burned out. The reason why so many feel, burned out is they're not in control of their lives. They're not in control of their lives. They allow circumstances to basically control them instead of the reverse. And that's what you have to do. But it begins with that list. It really does. Understanding our priorities. Because I don't care how many years you're in your business, that's always going to be the driving force behind what you do. But when you're not doing it, or you're not living up to it in the order in which you gave those values, you'll feel unfulfilled. You won't feel successful. I don't care what your pin rank is in your company. So those are my thoughts I wanted to share with you tonight, and how to avoid some burnout. It's all about living a fulfilled life, isn't it? It's not about how much money we make in network marketing. I talked about that the other night, Monday night, that we discussed that at Financial Mastery. When Tony said, pick a number that's the lowest number that you can achieve and still find happiness and fulfillment. Now, that's coming from a guy who's worth many billions of dollars, right? It's not that he wanted billions of dollars. It's okay if he did. But I'm sure he would tell you that's not his driving force. It's not. He certainly gives away a lot. And we try to do the same, me and Michelle. But the thing is, find that number, the lowest number where you can find happiness and fulfillment with that. And you'll be surprised. You'll be very surprised that you hear millions of dollars people are making in network marketing. But I'm telling you, it doesn't take millions of dollars to make you a happy person. If you have a solid residual income coming in, what would it take for you to be happy? And that's why some people, when they put, let's say it's the business is number one, the number one value on the list. Second to that is family. And they're spending all their time on the business, but they're not taking care of their second value, what's most important, even though some might say, well, I wouldn't have that. I'd have it the reverse. I would too. But I'm just saying, that's why some people get so frustrated, because they're spending all their time, working the business, and other values in their lineup are suffering so much. So don't forget why, I heard it said a long time ago that a man travels the world to see what he can find, only to come home and find it. He travels the world to see what he can find, only to come home and find it. That's a long trip, friends. Really is. So the thing is, know your values, know your lineup. And again, if you're not married, you're single, well, okay, fine. Business can be, in that case, at the top of your list. Traveling is second. Because you got that money, now you can travel, right? You are you, and I am me, so it's going to be different. There's not a right and there's not a wrong. Just know what it is. And then just understand, work, be congruent. Be congruent in your activities with the list. And that's your homework tonight. So you can make a list of those values, then make a separate list on the left side, line those values up. You might wake up tomorrow and say, that's not me, like I did. And the right, what are the rules to achieve those values? What do you got to do? Don't make it hard on yourself. Make it achievable. And then work your business so that it doesn't conflict with those values and you won't be burned out. You'll find ways to be productive. Lastly of all, the other thing too is that, and this is the third thing, and that is make sure that that you are always staying in a state where you can be taught, where you're teachable. Be the student. Always be a student. Always keep an open mind. I had a coaching call today with a gentleman out of Canada, great guy, and Ron Oliver's his name, just a great guy. And you know, that was one thing he said about me. He said, I like the fact that you're teachable. I'm telling you, friends, why that is important is because in network marketing, I used to say about every 10 years, hey, Archie Schrader, good to see you, my friend. About every 10 years, we have a paradigm shift in the network marketing profession. Now it seems to be less than that. Why? Because technology, everything is traveling so fast. Seriously. So changing so fast. I mean, it's just the speed, everything. And so the result is that technology affects our methodology, our tools, and what we use in doing this business. I can see myself in just a few years from now doing a hologram presentation in your home, and you could have a hologram of 20 other people in your house when in fact none of us are present. And I can do a presentation to your people. That's coming up fast. So fast. Now there'll be a lot of people say, I will never do that. Oh my gosh. That's so insensitive. It's not, you know, it doesn't seem natural. And then other people will be doing it. We'll be doing it all different countries and cities around the world. I could be doing multiple presentations, multiple cities, multiple countries, getting a whole lot done, doing it from this room, even with Arthur at my side. You think I could do a hologram? You know what a hologram is? Come on, you're a kid. You're supposed to know this stuff, right? You watch Star Wars all the time, right? You know this stuff. Can you see me doing a hologram where I'm doing presentations, multiple cities, multiple countries, all at the same time, talking to thousands of people, doing a presentation? Could you see me doing that? What can I say? No respect. No respect. Okay, so that's the thing. But would we be willing to change? I mean, we went from doing it, and so here's the thing. I'm just saying that technology changes methodologies and ways. What does that mean? We never do meetings again, real meetings? I mean, where we're actually physically together, Jeff, is not a hologram. Yes, we can still do that. But what I'm saying, but would you be willing to also explore that methodology of doing your business in the future? Are you always willing to change? Or do we just, we get in a mode and we do it a certain way, we get results, it's great we get results, but then let's say years from now, we do the same thing, we don't get results. And then we start blaming the wrong, coming up with the wrong reasons. It's either maybe it's the people in our downline, or we just say the prospects are stupid, whatever excuse we want to give. Or could it be that it's a new generation of people that use a whole different methodology of technology? and they just they don't relate to our communication or our methods. It's just not, they don't like it. But now they could like your business. They would like your business. They would like working with you. They just don't like your methods. Is it possible that we can change? Now, it doesn't mean that we never do the things we did before. Again, it's one toolbox, and we put all the tools in there. And for that generation, we're using different tools. And if you're dealing with a fuddy-duddy generation like me, baby boomers, you use different tools, right? You might actually have a cup of coffee with me face to face, and we talk about what you're doing. Are we flexible? See, are we teachable? See, that's the thing. And those are the things that, and so people can get burned out when they do methods that don't work with certain demographics of people, certain generations. So they get frustrated, and then they wonder, why am I not growing? Okay, but are you willing to learn? Are you flexible? Are you willing to change? I mean, it cracks me up that some people, it's just, I mean, you go to an app and they're not even willing to push 2 buttons to make it work. Come on. That's not teachable. So we can burn out that way too when we refuse to change and grow. When there's paradigm shifts happening, we need to recognize that. It's not like we have to be something we're not. I have some people say, well, I'm not technical. Well, if you know anything about me, I'm not technical. But I'm doing a Facebook Live call right now. Very simple. Just go to my Facebook page. I just select live, and then I come up with the title, and I push the button, and I'm talking to people. See, that's called being teachable. Would we be willing to do that? And as time changes and technology changes, and if you could do a hologram presentation in Belgium with a group of 30 people present, would you do it? See, I would do it. If I'm 80 years old later, I will do it. And I know you can too. So, again, those are some of the reasons why we get burned out. And I hope you get value out of that. Again, number 1, values and priorities. That's number 1. Know what they are. That's the driving force behind what you do. Second, boundaries. You need to protect and honor those values and priorities. Don't let people come in and disrupt that. And so get good at saying no. Third, being willing to change. Being willing to be a student and not come up with excuses. Well, I'm not this, I'm not that. If you want to be successful in network marketing, you have to adapt and change. So, hope you got value out of that. And thank you, Joffrey. I really appreciate it. All of you. I hope you're having a wonderful evening. And I'll put out some value tomorrow. Tomorrow night I won't go live because that's family night, where we go out and we have our worship service. So that's a spiritual thing we do, and we do that every Thursday. So the thing is, so I keep those are my boundaries, right? And my values I'm honoring. So then I'll see you on Friday, and on Friday I'm going to open it up to questions that you have. Anything about network marketing, the business. It doesn't really matter, just the reality of, it can be any question about anything, really. So feel free to be looking for that on Friday. You can post it in your comments on my post, and I'll be glad to answer your questions. Or do my best. How about that? Do my best. Love all you guys. Have a wonderful day. Be safe in what you do, and I'll see you then. Bye.